The internal always colors the external. There's that famous saying, wherever you go, there you are. It doesn't matter what you surround yourself with, the internal will color it. So let's just take, for example, money. You think making a lot of money will make you happy? No. What's a lot of money going to do? It's going to give you more resources to cope with yourself. If right now you're coping with yourself, you don't feel too good, and you're trying to numb yourself and escape yourself, that's all that money's going to do. It's going to give you access to more resources to do so. Instead of drinking cheap vodka from CVS, you can now afford top shelf. Instead of playing a PlayStation game, you can now travel to a yacht. But guess what? You're still escaping yourself. Nothing changes. You just have more resources. And by doing all those things, because at least at the bottom with the PlayStation, you're like, well, okay, I guess I'm not happy because I'm not on the yacht. But now that you're on the yacht, it's even more infuriating. You're like, wait a minute, I'm on the yacht and nothing changed. And people go insane. There are two worlds inside of you. Okay, there's that split. There's the conscious you and the subconscious you. The subconscious you will start floating up whenever you're alone with yourself doing nothing. You can try this as a challenge. Go home, sit down, and don't distract yourself. Don't go to your phone. Don't put some music on. Don't put some TV on. Just sit there with yourself in silence and just see what starts bubbling up. And that voice will start getting louder and louder and meaner and meaner. It'll be insane. You know, that's why we get home after work, we're like, quickly, the music before the voice kicks in, the TV before the voice kicks in.
Are you guys actually letting this sink in? Yeah. How much are you even able to sit alone in your chair without jumping out on your phone, jumping into your TV, thinking about some nonsense? This is a sickness, in my view anyway.
Yeah. Like literally, you'll get home after work, you're like, well, I get tired around this time, I have a few hours to fill. Ooh, I hope there's something I can binge on TV before that voice kicks in. And the voice just gets meaner and meaner. It says the worst things. It's like, you piece of crap. You remember what you did when you were 5? Your parents should have aborted you. You know you're worthless. And you're like, more TV to drown it out, because that's coloring the internal. And then guess what? That'll start projecting on the external too. And then everything that you see always goes to the negative. Criticizing, self-attack, so on and so forth. And you got to address that. And it doesn't matter what you try to cover it up with until you bring your awareness to it and ask yourself, wait a minute, why is it there to begin with? Can I let go of this? Nothing will change. And it is very important to sit down and look at all of your external attempts, external failed attempts, and take in the failure. Because we tend to double down. And that energy is very good at convincing us that the solution is just the next thing. It's just out of arm's reach. Okay, this thing didn't work, but it's because I didn't make that amount. You know, I made $1 million, I guess it's 2 million, 3 million, this.
Never
and you
ends.
keep doubling down.
Never ends.
The more successful you become, those same patterns that are running you, the same energy that's running you is still there, and it's just gonna make a bigger and bigger and bigger mess. Okay, so diving into it is key. What is keeping that voice alive? Why is it there? Why don't I feel like I'm good enough? Where does this self-hate come from? Because we all have it. Every single person here hates themselves. For real. And it's harsh, and it goes against a lot of the traditional self-help where it's like positive thinking, the law of attraction. You all know this? Yeah? Now, does this work? Yes, I do believe it works. Based on a lot of things I've seen, the law of attraction is, in my opinion, definitely real. However, here's what people fail to realize. The law of attraction works on what you're aware of, but also on what you're not aware of. And we have a lot of thoughts that are placed out of our awareness. And this is why it doesn't work for a lot of people. Consciously, they're like, I'm thinking positive, positive, positive. But in the background, there's still that voice saying, you're a piece of crap. And guess what? You're attracting more of you're a piece of crap. Until you address that voice and let go of that voice and the source of it, you're going to keep attracting those things.
The obvious version of this is if you imagine a homeless person who you bring up into a mansion and they're off puffing the rock or, you know, grabbing the fine dining utensils because they're not ready for that reality. They're not adjusted psychologically or energetically to that reality. Okay? Now, likewise, somebody who's very, very successful, and let's say they get bankrupted, they're not adjusted to living in that lower reality. Now, money is just an easy way to look at it. It's really way deeper than money. Money's the least of it. But to an extent, they're not willing to live in that kind of reality. Understand that from our perspective, I can look at you, 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 and I already know most of what you have going on. I can already see it very quickly. It's completely obvious. That's why things like self-qualification or trying to impress people is so stupid, because it's so obvious. Like, who you are is just screaming out at you. Now, I'm not saying I can see some weird color coming off of you, like green or blue, but the way that I experience it is almost like I can see the energy coming off of you. Almost. Not fully. I'm not seeing anything crazy, but it's like my brain almost represents it to me. Most of the great spiritual books are taught by guys with a beard bigger than mine, maybe a big headgear, crazy clothes, and but what we have, okay, so he does his imitation of it. So the Gucci imitation of it, okay, to troll. He's trolling. So basically, it's all real. So what we have is basically that a lot of this incredible information is housed and ensconced in this weird subculture, and that it attracts other people in that kind of crystally Venice Beach, NorCal subculture. And so hardcore entrepreneurs don't even want to look at it because they're like, I don't want to just hold a crystal and stare at it and whatever, right? I get it. You know who's like that? Me. That's what I'm like. I don't look like the typical guy that would be following that content, right? That freaks people out. I freak out the entrepreneur crowd that I would even look at content like that and live by it. That freaks them out. But I even freak out the Crystal Chode crowd because they're like, he looks so friggin' edgy, right? I'm not like, so that freaks them out. Basically, I'm riding this weird in-between line. Julien's riding this weird in-between line where like nobody gets it, but that's why we love teaching it to you, because it's that big. This is really the foundation for everything in my view. Everything. And that's after me going through the meat grinder in so many different areas. But what we've seen is that when people don't have an awareness of the energetics, what winds up happening is, again, massive self-sabotage, inability to see opportunities, massive misweighting bias, and also, you want to know the worst one of the whole thing? They're just unhappy. And so even if things did go well, they'd still be miserable. So that's a lot of what we're trying to condition you on. We want you to begin to see what your own energy level is, and we want you to begin to see it in others so you can make predictions of your own behavior, but also you can make predictions of others.
Yeah, the blocking off of opportunities, think of it like this. A lot of people can't see compliments. How do they see it? As an attack. If I walk up and I'm like, hey, I like your shirt, you might see it like, why is he making fun of my shirt? Now, as you move up, what happens? You see it as a compliment, but it's still too good for you. So you push it away. You self-sabotage. I'm like, hey, I like your shirt. You're like, oh, this shirt, it was cheap. It was nothing. You qualify yourself. And then as you move up, you're able to take the compliment, to let it land and be like, thanks. Now, that's just with a compliment for a shirt. Think about your entire life. How many opportunities are being thrown at you? And just like the shirt, you're interpreting them as insults or non-opportunities. We're blind to them. It's crazy. The more you dive into this, and once more, always bring it back to, okay, what's my version of that if you see it in others? We have so many blind spots to what we need. If you're unhappy, and again, you're putting all that work in getting these results, if you're not enjoying the results, what's the point? Those are not results. People are so proud. It's like, look at all the results, but they're not enjoying it. They're not happy. It's like, why are you wasting your time then? If you're not enjoying it, why are you putting all this work? Those are not the good results. And look at the people you model. You're sure they might be getting the results, but are they the right results? Learn how to enjoy the results, and that starts by learning how to enjoy yourself and who you are now, and it means going back to that whole positive thinking law of attraction, diving into that negativity inside of you, becoming aware of it. I call these shadow questions, if you're familiar. It's like, subconscious, unconscious, the shadow, whatever you want to call it, those two worlds inside of you. You have to ask the questions that'll give you the data to dive into and let go of. So here's an example. Why are you not good enough? Now, what does the mind do? I am good enough. And that's why it's called a shadow question. Yes, you are good enough. What you have to identify is the answers that shoot up. That little voice in the background. Why are you not good enough? You can even repeat it to yourself. And it's like, because of this. Don't shut that voice down. Take notes. Be like, okay, what else? Now you have the stuff to work on. Here's another shadow question. Why do your parents not love you and it's entirely your fault? Now again, what does our mind do? No, that's a super dark question and it's not true. It's not about being true or not. What answers shoot up? That's stuff to dive into. And you've got to get past that resistance to diving into the negativity. I must only think positive thoughts. It's like, yo, if there's a part of you that thinks that and there's an answer that shoots up, until you address it, it's going to run you. You've got to be aware of all those negative things to free yourself from those negative things. Why do you hate yourself? There's another one. Why do you not deserve success? Why do you deserve to suffer? Why is life hard for you? Why are you unlovable? Why are you toxic? Those are amazing questions to start bringing some of that up. It's audit, release. Audit, release. While taking action, that formula will change your life.
The chaos that you'll see too by not having this handled is so crazy because you'll be in relationships that should have gone so well and they'll go sideways because the person's addicted to trauma or you're addicted to trauma. You'll even be drawn to people who will pull up your trauma. And that's where it gets really scary because what you have is attraction specifically for the people that will hurt you the most. And they're attracted to you if you'll hurt them the most. And the reason why is because the trauma wants to come out, and it wants to come out so bad that it's even manipulating your attraction compass. So that's why this is so serious to get out, because a lot of time if you don't have this handled, it's almost like you might as well not do anything. Because every single action you're taking, oftentimes is like you spinning your wheels in the mud. It's just leading you towards more crap. Ever felt that way? This is delving into why.
Just looking at your life, look at all the patterns that repeat themselves. You know, we think things change so much, not necessarily. You know, it's like the same patterns, different faces, different situations. You ever have that where it's like, say you're this person in your group of friends, and you're like, when I move, things will be different. And you move and no one knows you yet. And things are temporarily different. You delay it, but eventually you find your way back. You have the same reputation, the same amount of status. You're the same person in that group of friends. The same with relationships. You keep being pulled to the same type of partner again and again, or no partner again and again. And you keep telling yourself, next time it'll change. No, it's the same patterns. You know, we think we have free will, but not necessarily. Only to the extent that your shadow or subconscious allows you. Right? We try so hard consciously to do all this stuff, but we just keep repeating ourselves or self-sabotaging or creating situations that bring us back to what we know. Confidence isn't something that you build up to through compensation. It's through owning everything that is you. It's through feeling completely whole and being okay with like, hey, this is me, and putting it out there, as opposed to I'm hiding this part, I'm disowning this part, let me try to compensate for this void inside of me. It's letting go of that void completely and re-owning everything that you are. And we all have this feeling of not feeling at home within our bodies. And it's through our conditioning, it's how we interpret it, it's through trauma. Just from the moment we're born, we're conditioned to believe that we're not good enough. Why? Due to the way that we're raised. You receive approval when you behave, and you're punished when you don't behave, right? The way our mind interprets that is, when I behave, my parents love me. When I don't behave, my parents don't love me. So by default, there's the acceptable me that behaves, that receives love, and then there's the unacceptable me. So again, by default, not all that is you is acceptable. So you're born, it's like immediately, I'm not good enough. I must get rid of the part of me that's not acceptable and only be that. And we create this split, self-hate, shame, and that runs us, unfortunately, for a lot of people, you know, their entire lives. We
wanted to create something that would actually get down to the basics of what was holding you back. So that was why Julien wound up creating TM. And basically what it is that you have a lot of these sort of ephemeral thoughts. Have you ever read the book Getting Things Done, GTD, by David Allen? Anybody ever heard of that? Well, basically the whole idea of it is that you do what's called a brain dump, and you've got all these things you have to get done, and you kind of just write it out. And by writing it out, see, here's what's happening. When you have a bunch of chores to get done and you don't write it out, you'll keep looping this in your head because you haven't written it out. Well, in the same way, good tip for you right there, right? This is the main takeaway from that book. So in the same way, with things like trauma, basically that energy is kind of floating and floating and floating, and it's kind of ephemeral. It's kind of just in there. And then what it does, it even feeds itself. It wants to feed. It's a lot like an addiction to sugars or things like that. It wants more to sustain its own energy. It's a life force inside of you that wants more trauma in order to sustain itself. And it will even go into your brain and get you to take actions, associate with people, be attracted to thoughts, people, places, things that will further traumatize you. And what will happen is, if you want even more trauma from a lot of rejection, it'll even cause you to act in ways to get rejected more. You will see the freakiest, spookiest shit you can imagine. Because you will see people walk, you'll be like the kid in The Sixth Sense, I see dead people. It's like you're seeing people walking down the street, you can see what's going on with them, you can predict what they're probably gonna do, you know what you're probably gonna do, you can actually see energy connecting to other energy, not in some visual way, but you can see what's gonna happen. The shit gets really fucking trippy. That infection, which is so utterly obvious in a lot of people, is less obvious in ourselves. We all have this infection. I have it, Julien has it, you have it. It's just the extent or degree to which you have it. Now, we've seen this with things like ridiculous, horrific violence in the world, where people do these deranged things that make no sense. And they're operating in a hell realm while on earth. The problem is that as you grow in your success, the things that we talked about earlier, we had a lot of very frank discussion earlier about growing in your success. The problem is when you don't fix this demented infection inside yourself, your reticular activation system, okay, your selective focus, will tend to zero in on anything negative, no different than how somebody watching an amazing video can't see the content, or it even warps the content in a way where they feel it's to manipulate them, to trick them, to mislead them, to give them a path of false hope, and they can't see outside of that, and that's real to them. That's not a joke to those people. You just saw a video that somebody who went out and did experiments for 40, 50 hours a week for almost 20 years created for you for free. And what did you get out of that? You're like, oh, look at the person crossing the street. This is stupid. That's what you got? That means you are loco. You're crazy, man. But they don't think of it like that. They're just sitting there in their derp state, and they want to reinforce it. So anything that they're seeing that would move them out of that state, they're blind to it. Now, we can point at some weird internet freak, and we can say to ourselves, oh, I'm not like them. Actually, I beg to differ. I think that people like myself or Julien are worse than them. You want to know why? Because we may not have it like that at all, to be honest, but the areas that we do have it, that are hard to excavate or dig out, are causing us to leave more on the table. That guy making the weird internet comment, if he changed his ways right now, maybe he'd make an extra $1,000 a month or something. If Julien and I were to fix our last little areas, what benefit could we get? Funny to think about that. We're probably leaving more on the table. You are leaving more on the table by not fixing this than the average person. And you're not even seeing it. You're blind to it. And you're seeing how much better you are than the freak, and you're using the freak as rationalization that you're doing fine. Interesting to think about. This trauma energy that people are sitting on top of is so heavy, it is so dense, it is so crazy, you don't even know that you're sitting on top of it, but everybody is to an extent. And that trauma energy is going to be the number one thing that holds you down in your progress.